Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Good morning, good morning, good morning. As I talk to y'all uh, about an hour before kickoff on NFL games today, but wanted to get out my reaction. We like to do it live, at least the first, sitting or whatnot following a game, and especially a victory. So we do have Victory Sunday here on the channel. And as you guys are coming in, just to recap the 41-20 victory, Texas over UTSA last night, NDKR, third largest DKR crowd, I believe, ever. A lot going on. Hudson Card starting at quarterback for us yesterday. A lot of Bijan Johnson, a lot of Bijan Robinson, a lot of Roshan Johnson. And a lot to discuss in terms of the defense, officiating, all these things. First off, want to give a shout out to our sponsor, BUSR, busr.com/fanatic. Those of you who are looking for a reliable betting partner, especially before these games kick off today, you want to put some money down on some of these matchups, whether it's New Orleans, Tampa Bay, Cincinnati, Dallas, some interesting ones out there, right? Even Cleveland and the Jets or whatever. But if you're looking for a reliable betting partner, hit up busr.com/fanatic. The favorites yesterday, at least, if you were going money line, at least, did very well yesterday. I think the only one that lost was Michigan State at Washington. But across the board last night and during the day, did very well. So hit up busr.com/fanatic and take advantage there. First and foremost, expectations matter coming into these football games. And I just want to start there as we really just jump into this. Expectations matter from a standpoint of, I don't know what folks were expecting from UTSA, especially folks that weren't. We talked about UTSA. We brought Brandon on here from Along the Wire podcast. Those who watch Texas Homer videos, us here in the YouTube community that do this and watch film and study these teams and study college football, we knew UTSA was a good football team. And we knew to expect, as Brandon said, and I tweeted this last night, he said, I don't foresee us beating y'all, but I foresee a fight. So I don't know what some of y'all were expecting. Some of y'all expected a fight. I expected a fight. I literally said in the preview video, this game's going to be very tight for 2.5, potentially 3 quarters before we pull away. So let's just be mindful of what our opponent presents itself before we just get upset at the beginning of a game, like, oh, I'm supposed to blow these guys out. It's not ULM. We would have set the expectations as such. And also, part of growth with this team is just learning how to win. We over the past few years, especially last season, we would have lost that game. Would have found a way, even as UTSA was physically getting worn down and running out of guys. And like I said, Frank Harris is amazing. It's an amazing quarterback, but you can't play football like that the whole game with no run game. It's just, I'm the only show in town. Eventually, you're going to wear them out. And so, yeah, but in the past, we would have extended that. We would have given them other opportunities. We wouldn't have made the adjustments that we made, found the counters, and exploited that, right? And so, shout out Kyle. I gave y'all Bama -49 earlier this week. If anybody's been paying attention, they're playing ULM. Nick Saban was talking about that. Like we were loud. So Kyle listens. He picks up the cues. That's why he's been making money on BUSR. UTSA was going. So I want to read some of y'all's comments before we get to game balls. I'm gonna get to Roshan and Bijan here in a second. I'm getting my coffee in me. We're getting warmed up. And hell yeah, free demo. Free DeMarvion Overshown. Look. College football. All right, let me vent for a second before we really get into everything because y'all bringing the heat this morning in the chat. Where are the free where are the free demos out here? Where are the free? There we go. They're my free demos. This is bullshit. This is bullshit, y'all. Like, and I'm glad Sark said last night he's going to appeal that targeting call and do whatever they need to do to at least get a overturn so that he can be, because if you get a targeting call in the second half, you're suspended the first half of the following game, which would mean he would be sitting the first half against Texas Tech. So if we're able to appeal that, I think what that would do is at least a mechanism make him eligible to play in the first half, which he very well deserves. First off, congratulations to DeMarvion Overshown on having DeMarvion Overshown Jr., you and your lady, and having a baby. That's amazing. I hope to be a father one day myself. Congratulations. I can only imagine the emotions of this week going through what he went through and playing in a football game. And on that particular series, just started taking over the football game, right? Has a pass breakup, has an unbelievable blitz through the A-gap, which we all love to see from Demo. And he actually came up in there, didn't dip his head, lined up lined up Frank Harris, and also these replays that they keep showing, they always show them so slowed down that you don't get to see the actual live collision of what both players were going through, right? Everything's going to look like, oh, he could have pulled up or he could have done this when you're showing something slowed down times 16, all right? For showing stuff real time, boom, that's clearly not a targeting, like clear as day. All right. And so it just seems that like I said, the ops have been after him because it's the second week in a row that they're just like, what is he a target of? I don't understand it. And we have to stop confusing guys that are playing fast with controlled violence with fast and illegal. Just because I came in there and blew up the house doesn't mean I didn't have code and license to do it. He did. But I think sometimes they see the collisions or they respond in such a way where they're like, oh, that's targeting. I don't know. Y'all tell me in the comments. It just looks extremely suspect. And hopefully they're able to overturn that. Another call I had a big issue with, by the way, I didn't like the Ryan Watts pass interference call. And the reason why I didn't like that call is I felt as though Ryan Watts did turn his head to look for the football, number one. Number two, both he and the receiver were engaged. Yes, his hands were inside, but they were tussling with each other. They're both jostling for position. And I felt like it's another example of if I'm physically dominating somebody or if I lean on somebody because I'm just naturally strong, that you guys are penalizing me for that instead of for my technique being improper. Ryan Watts did turn his head and look for the football. That was no more aggressive than anything Kool-Aid and them were doing to Jadon Sanders last week. I'm just saying, all right? And all I'm saying is if Kool-Aid's going to have that type of whistle to be able to play physical football in the end zone on fades, back shoulders, things of that sort, then our big physical corner should get the same type of pass. Or, call it across the board and give us those PIs from last week. Can't have it both ways. That's all we're saying. We just want a fair whistle. All right. I'm with Karen. I don't like talking about officiating like that. But when you start kicking people out, like I didn't even like the call in the A&M game with Damani Richardson. And he did dip his head. But there has to be some sort of code or thing in there to say, you know what, even if we're going to give you a 15-yard penalty, like what you did was not egregious. So we're going to rescind, you'll be allowed to play, under probation or whatever, but like you're not out of the football game. But just some of those calls, man. Yeah, the PI call, I didn't like that PI call. Didn't like it at all. He's a big physical corner. It's just they're both leaning on each other. Ryan Watts is just stronger than that kid. But anyway, we'll move on. Shout out to Jeff Traylor and the UTSA Roadrunners. All right, and I apologize for not giving them their credit as we're 10 minutes into this live. They came out and did everything you could ask, and Jeff Traylor's game plan was perfectly tailored to try to cause a road upset. Right, everything you can ask for from a double-digit road dog. You have a veteran quarterback. There's a lot you can do. Hey, let's shorten the game. Let's go ball control offense. Let's develop a rhythm early. We know we can't really run the football consistently, but we will mix in some things in our play calling to confuse Texas, to allow ourselves to stay on the field. They go on a 20-play drive to open this football game. And every, button to at least give his team a chance, he hit that. So I have to give Coach Traylor credit. That's why I expected a fight, because he's such a brilliant up and coming head coach in this game, and he's already a legend at the high school ranks. And quite frankly, Texas fans, get ready, and this is why I'm nervous. Okay, Joey McGuire just like that for Texas Tech. That's the same type of dude, same type of coach. Different personality and stuff. But Joey, these guys, they're gonna do certain things to keep their teams in the game. But now we go on the road to Tech. But with UTSA, Frank Harris is a warrior. Love him, love his game. I'm gonna continue to watch him in Conference USA play. That kid's a dog. I agreed with Coach Traylor. I didn't watch the game with sound. Couldn't do it. But it sounded like when he pulled Frank Harris, it was more so to protect him from conference play. Correct me if I'm wrong. But we'll see. McGuire doesn't have a Frank Harris, but McGuire has a defense. McGuire doesn't have a Frank Harris, but McGuire has a defense. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to bring Tran in real quick, y'all. Give me 1 sec. Oh, I lost Tran. He's going to come back. Tran's coming in. Tran was there last night, so I can have him comment from the in-stadium perspective. I see some of y'all commenting about that. But no, the UTSA did so much good stuff to keep themselves, the onside kick. All right, Tran. What's up, man? Yo. I can't hear you.
I'm trying to work out the headphone situation real quick.
Oh, okay. I can hear you. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Just start talking when you're ready. So with the going back to just some of the things, right? They go on a nice drive. They get points. They get the onside. They do the onside kick. And this is while a lot of us, I know myself, we're on Twitter. I'm complaining about the Ryan Watts PI and all that. And immediately, see, that's when you do an onside kick. When you're a road dog and there's a controversial score that just happened and you notice a trend of guys that are backing up, which our front line was doing, that's when you strike, right? Like there's certain times in a game, if you notice certain things or whatever, you can kind of pinpoint it and go for it. And that's exactly what Jeff Traylor did in that particular scenario, knowing he needed to give his team life and take some risk, because he knew if Texas continues, even though Texas, I will say this, we really struggled in our run blocking and we struggled to create any type of running lanes for our backs, but he knew eventually we're going to wear them down. We just had too many. It's just too much. So I have to do what I got to do to keep my team in the football game. So I respect them for that. Game balls. We got to give some game balls. I'm just kind of going off here, and Spencer, perfect timing, man. It started with Roshan Johnson. We were down 17-7. And I tweeted this. He went on his Spencer James shit. Like he really did. He just said, you know what? give me the football, even when there wasn't space there. Like you start seeing him jump over people. It was like a damn movie. He was just like, no, 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 Texas, we're not going back to that dark place. Okay. We're down 17-7. This is the test. This is what the coaches have been preparing us for. This is what the coach has been talking about in the offseason. When you guys get into a situation, somebody caught you. Somebody came out with some stuff. Somebody caught us as a staff. Somebody came out with some stuff. We got to make some changes, but I need y'all as players to buy me some time so I can get these adjustments in ready for y'all. And that's exactly what Roshan did. Roshan said, you know what? Bump this. Bump this. I'm getting busy. Bump this. Give me the rock. And doing whatever he can, catching the football, running the football, blocking, all those things. Then what's great is when your best football players become your best leaders, I think that's really where I can really start to say, hey, Dorian, your brother was unbelievable last night, man. Real rap. He definitely brought the energy. He brought the energy. And quite frankly, it's something we haven't seen here in a long time with moments like that when we get in just challenging crap and everything's hitting the fan and somebody goes off to start to wake everybody else up. But with Bijan too, right? Bijan's injured. It's clear he's in pain. It's clear he was in pain last week when he had the injury. And I don't know what clicked. There was one run in there with Bijan in particular where we saw the old Bijan and he was like, it looked like he was down 3 or 4 times, and then he would just maintain that crazy center of gravity balance that he has, and then he gets back over to the sideline and he's jump cutting again. And I'm like, oh, that was, to me, that was like his best run of the season. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. And from there, he goes absolute ape shit. And he has the Emmitt Smith game for us, where if you guys have ever seen the old Emmitt Smith 1994 against the Giants division on the line, it's cold outside and his shoulder is like completely separated or whatever, and he just decides to play the game anyway. And you can the whole game, if you watch it, he's running, he's clearly, his shoulder's messed up, he's in pain, you can see it on his face. And I felt that from Bijan last night, and it was really cool to see this team grow up, to see that spark with Roshan, to see the coaches say, you know what, 2 and 5 are going to carry us home. All right. Hey, Hudson, you got 2 and 5 right next to you. We going 2 back all night. Those are our guys. They're our best football players right now. And they happen to be from the same room. And we're going to ride them, both of them, because they don't want to lose. They refuse to lose. And they didn't have great blocking in front of them. They didn't have great blocking in front. A lot of that stuff they were creating or just physically pushing through people. I hope the rest of the team can see the will to win from these guys, because that was a will to win. Bijan finishing that run and the pain that he was in to run that far, and you notice his arm. He barely moved his arm while he's running down the field that far. That's a will to win. That's a will to win. A lot of dudes tap in those moments. Am I lying, y'all? A lot of dudes tap out in those moments, or say, you know what, coach, I'm not 100% or whatever it is. A lot of people tap in those situations. Let's see here. Was Sark holding back play calling? This is a very good question, Ryan Reese, and something I am trying to get to the bottom of, quite frankly. Because I'm going to be very honest. We were told that Hudson Card has a great command of the offense, knows this offense, and one of the advantages before the season, when we were going through the whole quarterback thing, one of the advantages was Hudson Card with his understanding and experience, will be able to run the full menu of Steve Sarkisian's offense. However, the menu is only available when Quinn Ewers is available. When Hudson Card's around, we're on the late night menu. We only had late night craving and whatnot. So I'm a little confused as to why we're not running everything, or why the offense seems to be so conservative when he's in there. I understand there are certain things that only Quinn Ewers can do, and certain throws and things where you feel comfortable that Sark has since then designed certain things for him in particular. I get that. But even some of the stuff that we were asking Hudson Card to do last year when he first became the starter in Lafayette, that game plan was more aggressive. When Hudson Card played quarterback in the damn spring game, he was allowed to be more aggressive. I understand you guys are saying he's missing some of the throws or whatever, but I'm not even really seeing him get opportunities. To me, when you call bubble screen on 3rd and 15, you're not really giving my dude the opportunity to work. Come on. Y'all said he knows the offense. We can't at least and this. Let's also consider this. For those of the people that say Carr's not hitting the throws, he's late, all this type of stuff. Okay, what? Cool. I'm not disagreeing or agreeing, but let's talk this out. And I know Steve doesn't like running quarterbacks. He doesn't want his quarterbacks moving all around. But I've been saying, if you watched Hudson Card at Lake Travis, that boy has wheels, okay? And when he actually is decisive in deciding to run, he is a very good athlete. And yesterday you saw him break off a 20-yard run. And did you see when he got up to Mach 5? Hudson's fast as shit. When he actually decides, I'm going this way, I'm taking off. So even without the throwing, like, at least allow him to use his legs a little bit and be a dual threat athlete or something. But just having him back there throwing screen passes, his longest throw yesterday from what I've rewatched was a throw to Jordan Whittington, I think for like 16 yards, that Jordan Whittington cut back into the middle of the field and got more, which I think Jordan got 10 more yards after that. So I think it was like a 26-yard completion. I'm pretty sure that was Hudson Card's longest, may have been his longest completion in the air. So it's just a little puzzling why we're so conservative, especially when the run game, granted our guys muscled through it, but we had challenges there where we couldn't run block. So let me catch up with the comments here. Now Whittington low-key had a really good game. He hasn't gotten much credit I've seen, but Whittington played well, and he's still healthy. He's playing good. Anytime somebody says you're an effing football player, that's one of the greatest compliments you can get as a guy. Isaac, I love seeing him run on that play though, because that's his DNA. We need more. Yeah. You can tell naturally when he took off, that I was like, okay, that's Lake Travis Card. That was Lake Travis Card that just said, no, I see the lane, I'm gone. I can get, with my legs, I can get at least 20-some yards here. That's what we need. It's just the instinctiveness. It's the instinctiveness. I don't think Card looks fully lost. I think there's just a lack of trust with the staff and measuring certain things. I mean, there's times where he does look a little lost, and then there's times where he does that and he just takes off and he's decisive about it, and he looks like a freaking stellar athlete. So, all right. I'm going to get Tran in here. I'm going to keep reading some comments because this is really good discussion. Brother Tran.
Yo, about the technical difficulties.
No worries. No
Hear me?
worries. How you doing, man? Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
I can hear
Cool.
you.
Yeah, I'm doing well. How you
Yeah.
doing? How you feeling? Nice.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm pretty much fine. It's just a cough, and I wish I was there with y'all last night in the stadium. So everybody, we're talking about Card and Sark. Do we think Sark is limiting him a little bit? And I know I wanted you to talk about what your experience was inside the stadium, but this conversation here is really good because I do see a lot of limitations that we're putting on the offense. Some of them may be purposeful. Alton Williams here says, I legitimately think it's on Card and not Sark for this. Card never throws the ball in the middle of the field. He's too conservative. Well, he only has one career interception, and maybe that's why. He just doesn't want to take any risk or put the ball in harm's way. But if you want to move the football consistently in the air, you got to take some risk and try to throw the ball into tight windows. So I don't know, man. Very interesting conversation. Before I get to you on this, though, Tran, in the stadium, what was it like last night? I'm hearing a lot of frustration from folks because they said that we were a little fair weatherish last night.
Fair weatherish, and how so?
The
Is that we
fans.
were so our fan? You're saying our fans were only backing us when we were good, and then when we were down, we. I mean, does that sound like Texas fans? But no. Seriously though. The person who went to the game with me, it's a mutual friend of ours, James Faggett. He went to the game with me. I said before the game, four things were going to happen, and all four things happened. I swear to you, this was going to happen. And I said, they are going to come out. They're going to be pumped. They are go. I know Jeff Traylor's bread and butter was special teams, so I knew he was going to make a special teams play. And then I even called out the onside kick beforehand. I called out the way that they were lined up. I was like, "This is an onside kick," and I saw weird things happening. And then when I saw that it was 17-17 at halftime, I was like, "Oh, we're beating this team by more than two possessions." It's because we took their best hit and they couldn't gain any traction to us. So we were surrounded by a lot of UTSA fans, and it was just funny to see just the dynamic change in their body language after halftime, especially after the pick six. But no, I mean the section I was sitting in, they were pretty much backing Texas, and they were
We have a
loud. It
good
was, it was a safe
section.
spot.
We have a good
Yeah,
section now.
I mean it's the old it's where we're sitting is where the old players sit. So I mean those guys are going to back, but that's only what 15% of the stadium. So I can't really get an understanding of how everywhere else was feeling. I mean it's a big stadium.
So it just felt like from TV copy when they're showing, and granted, they're showing the whole stadium, right? And
Mhm.
it's a lot of cheeks and seats on third down, and Frank Harris is cooking and doesn't really seem to be too interrupted with, one of the things I've always asked is, are are we disruptive when the team when Frank Harris or whatever quarterback, Bryce Young, he really impacted Bryce Young last week. And not just Bryce Young, but his pass catchers in terms of their communication, in terms of them getting settled, them making checks. ULM, Chandler Rogers and them had a lot of trouble making checks at the line of scrimmage because we brought so much energy when they're on offense. And it seemed like, at least from the TV, that energy wasn't there. And UTSA just seemed to walk in and have no issue getting comfortable and getting into their stuff offensively.
No, of course, the atmosphere wasn't the same as Alabama, understandably, and that's no disrespect to UTSA, but UTSA, you're not Alabama. Um, so our fan base is going to be way more into the game and way more focused on the plays at hand. They did affect the game in certain ways too, in certain points of the game. I remember they were at the goal line. It was like it was 4th and 1, and they were going for it, and we were loud enough to draw them off sides. Draw a penalty from them, and it bumped them back to where they had to kick a field goal. I mean, there's certain scenarios where when we had to get loud, we had to get loud. So I mean, third downs, there's a lot of third downs too. I mean, credit to them is that they grinded out drives. They were long drives. There weren't one play drives or anything like that. And when you're facing 3 or 4 third downs on a drive, it's really hard to get into it because it just seems like, especially if it's third and manageable, it's really hard to get into it because your defensive line can't really pin back their ears and try to get pressure on the quarterback because they're dinking and diving on every single play.
Which I thought was a great game plan from
It
Jeff
was.
Traylor. Great game plan, and I also felt as though they got us frustrated. They understood what they needed to do to get us at a point where, hey, no, why y'all saying Trey is my personal body? Y'all are funny. But the dinking and the dunking and things of that sort. I did like how we adjusted, though. We grew up throughout the game. We started calling some heaters, especially in the second half. We started trying to dictate pressure. Sometimes we would blitz. We blitz from the field side, force him to the boundary, but he kind of likes throwing to the boundary, especially when he was rolling left, and would make some plays. And A. Cook always seemed to be right there on making A. Cook was making a lot of tackles, but he always seemed right there on maybe getting a breakup or whatever. So everything was so close. But one of my favorite calls from last night was we blitzed Ryan Watts from the boundary. And I have to give a lot of credit here to PK for this play call. I thought it was beautifully done, which led to the Jahdae Barron pick 6. Just talk to me some of the things you noticed defensively or anybody that stood out to you that you want to give some credit to, or things that, wherever you want to go. But I really like that blitz call that PK had.
It was a very conservative game plan that we utilized. I think we knew that and that was one of my predictions, that over the course of the game, our size and speed is going to wear on them. And it did. It ended up doing that because you saw the Bijan Robinson runs where it was like 3, 4, 3, 8, 3, and then he 73. Popped. Yeah, 73. And it does. And you and I have talked about those body blows. Those body blows happen on the defensive side too. I mean, we weren't really blitzing that much. We weren't designing up a ton of blitzes. That one, it worked. And also the second one that they worked was the one where Demo got ejected from the game. It was a beautifully called blitz.
And it was like a delay.
Yes, it was a delay. It was fantastic because they knew that there was going to be enough space for him to get his speed right up the middle to the guy can't roll to the side because we're containing the pocket. So he has to lay down and take it, or just take the shot.
Good point.
So I mean, it was very conservative, and I don't think I think it was a game plan for ours, just to, because next week we're going into conference play, and I know Joey McGuire is going to be watching a ton of film on us, specifically the Alabama game. I'm sure he's going to be watching. And that's the type of formations he's going to be looking at from an offensive perspective of what he needs to be aware of. So he didn't want to give too much film out there. And I know it's a little arrogant to say this, but I think that the coaching staff knew that we could trot out this team and just beat them with talent alone.
Overshown, free Demo. The man just had a kid. Congratulations, free Demo. This is a free Demo channel. He should not have been ejected. Should not have been called for targeting. This is bullshit. We will riot. My man Sark already said, no, we ain't letting that ride. We appealed to this. File the paperwork right now.
It was such a It was such a tough call in that game because I mean, I don't. He led with his face mask, and it was to the head, and it was a quarterback. So I get what they're saying. It wasn't to me. It wasn't targeting. If anything, it's roughing the passer. If anything,
But he's tall though. Like,
I
I mean,
I
is he supposed to
well,
squeeze down? Like, I'm
how
confused.
tall how tall is their quarterback? I mean,
Ooh, Frank Harris. I
yeah,
don't,
he's got to be. I'm sure he's 6'1" ish range.
something like that.
So I mean, he wrapped him
Trent,
up,
now's
and
not the time to now's not the time for logic. Be on our side with this, man.
I'm on. I don't think he's already served his time for that hit. I don't think he should serve his time for half a game next game. I don't.
No,
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 not at all.
no, no, no. Let it go.
What do you think of the crowd reaction to that call? Oh, people were pissed. It's because it has a lot to do with what happened last week too.
That exactly.
Yeah, it has a
It
lot to
was
do with what
BS.
happened last week.
Now,
Yeah.
granted, they overturned it, but it was BS. Like, we shouldn't have even been having that conversation because it ended up affecting us not getting the safety.
Mm. Oh, and I think if they would have called the touchdown, where the guy went out of bounds and then reestablished himself and then dropped the ball, there would have been a riot. I think at DKR. If they would have called, I think there would have been a riot.
Man, they were all over. They called that touchdown. The guy ran out of bounds, right, and then didn't catch the ball. Like,
They said he was forced out of bounds. That's what the hat means. He said it was, and it didn't look like Jameson even touched him. He was 3 feet out of bounds and then
they
jumped in,
both ran out of bounds. What are they?
and then decided to call the touchdown. I was like, that's absurd that they called that a touchdown.
Man, anyway, I want to get back to talking ball though. Jalen Ford, I have him up here. I thought Jalen Ford had a really good football game again, 2 back-to-back games. So 15 so now we're talking about, this is where you start talking about improvement in linebacker play. Again, theme in the video, signs of growth. 25 tackles, I believe, over the last 2 weeks from Bama, UTSA, 15 tackles last night. And he did a wonderful job of adjusting to Frank. It was challenging at first. Frank is very tricky. Frank is very, very tricky. He's left-handed. He's very shifty. He throws the ball very well off platform. His eyes are always downfield. Like I told y'all, Frank sees everything in slow motion, just very similar to the way Bryce did. Only Frank's pass catchers, you could tell they have chemistry. They've been doing this for a long time, him and his guys. So he knows when to test somebody, or when they also know how to work back to him very well. But one of the things I liked about Jalen, like a boxer, got the timing down first few rounds, right? Like how is he move? So what you saw like towards the end of the game until Frank went out was he was doing such a great job of angling him to the sideline and making him string out. And so even though Jalen wasn't always necessarily making the tackle, or he maybe hit a shoelace or shoestring or whatever, he was doing enough to either get Frank on the ground or make Frank go out of bounds. And I thought that really helped us with downs and distance throughout the football game, as well as just being assertive in the run game. So Jalen Ford really impressed me last night.
Yeah, and it's a testament to our defensive staff. Honestly, it's something that's overlooked a lot. It's just effort, just to use the boundary. Linebackers can't really keep contained if they're shading someone like that. So usually it's the wide receivers, but wide receivers are chasing not wide receivers, defensive backs. They're chasing the wide receivers down the field. So they can't really gain. And defensive ends, sometimes they get around, they break the pocket and get around it. So use what you have to your advantage to make sure you do that. And you don't want them going up north. You want them going west and utilizing more energy to get less yardage. So I thought he did a great job. it, like you said, adjusting to it throughout the game.
Yeah, and Champ Bailey, I see what you're saying. He had to adjust. They had to get that's something is hard to prepare for as a backer. Those of you guys that play defense maybe can speak to this better than even I can. It's hard trying to defend athletes like this in space on top of still maintaining your pass coverage responsibilities if you have some, or what adjustments they were throwing out there in the middle. But we did see they adjusted to the point where they're like, hey, you really just have Frank, okay, and you're gonna have to mirror him in terms of what's happening. But overall, now the rush lanes, I was a little frustrated with those at times because I'm like, hey, D line, I like the aggressiveness. I like you guys working on field. You guys are playing. A lot of y'all were playing against backups last night and trying to really like toss people around and stuff, which is fine. But you're not leveling off, and the quarterback is stepping up beyond you. And when I say like they needed to kind of level off and create almost a buffer and do like that 3/4 thing I've seen some teams strategically do to keep the quarterback contained. Almost like we're not even trying to sack you, but we want to keep you where we want you. And I just thought we were flying upfield a little too much for my liking. But that's something that's easily correctable.
Yeah.
I think with good film study and just teaching them how to handle certain quarterbacks like that. But I mean, they adjusted to the opponent over the course of the game. We saw real growth, guys. Facing adversity. I mean, Ryan Watts, his number was called. He was under attack, and he had an opportunity. Look, I defended him on the PI. I thought that PI was bullshit.
Oh, his head was turned around playing the ball. It was
Oh, it
not
was.
pass interference at all.
Mhm.
And so anyone who's giving him trash about that, like, hey, he can't. He was playing that perfectly, 1-on-1 in the end zone. His head was turned around. His hand. You're allowed a little, not aggressive
Not
contact, but
egregious.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you're allowed a little contact just to see where the player is. But if you're playing the ball, and it shouldn't have been that way.
Now we also got to talk about though the touchdown he gave up because so if we were to talk about concerns,
Oh, you're talking about the tip touchdown?
the tip touchdown
Yeah,
where he's there
yeah.
and Jaron Thompson's coming out to help him, but Ryan Watts is there to make that. I mean, he has to make that play. I think if we have a conversation in the film room, and this is something that it scares me with Texas until we see it really improved upon long term. We still like the playing the ball in the air aspect, and that was fluky. I know it was a double pass type deal, and the ball, but we got to find the football. You're big enough, you're athletic enough, you're there. I know you had to speed up a little bit to recover, which you did. You were in good position. You got your hand on the ball, but we got to make the play. And so, like, to me, it's just one of those things of just reinforcing that with our guys. We got to make these plays. We got to make these plays in critical situations. So Ryan Watts, that's the only thing I would, you know, but that's been a problem at Texas for years, playing the football in the air. The other thing that concerned me was now Jamison ended up kind of recovering and having a pretty decent game, and I applaud him for coming back, from injury last week. He didn't finish against Alabama. He came back. He still kind of fell asleep on that shift play where they burned him for a touchdown, but fortunately, it's a legal shift. The guy didn't get set, but those are some of those things where it's just like some of the old tendencies can creep back in, and hopefully we're able to get those things cleaned up that could potentially get you beat down the road. D line was getting held a lot. Micro said we were getting good pressure.
Yeah, and we also made them one dimensional. I mean, I think it's good when the longest they had is from the quarterback position, right? I think that was the longest run that they had. So
Pretty sure.
yeah, so you're doing a good job of making them one dimensional and making them a passing team. And you saw what happened over the course of the game. We got pressure one time and we got a pick six. So
Maybe. I'm not saying maybe to you, Trent. I'm saying maybe to the question that was being asked.
no, I gotcha.
Also, I want to give a shout out to Bert Auburn. I think he's holding down the field goal kicking well.
Yeah, his second kick of the season, I really didn't like his trajectory, and he's really corrected that. And I don't know if it's from watching film study or whatever, but just keep getting that up and keep being accurate. That's all we need. We need someone from 40 in to be accurate every single time.
This is a good question. Why do you think tackling was bad early? I think they were doing a lot of quick game stuff, and it was comfort in terms of how they were going to play us, which we kind of anticipated, but I think the staff could have done a little bit better job, in my opinion, of having them prepared for that and understanding that UTSA's plan was ball control and clock game and stuff. They were doing that from the beginning. I think we should have been a little bit more prepared for that. But in terms of the tackling, the guys are banged up. That's the other thing. Like, Janae Barron's not 100%, and he missed some tackles. He got the pick six, which is great, which I'm happy for him. Deshaun Jameson, we know he didn't finish the Bama game. He's back. There's certain guys in there. I'll give Alfred Collins is still getting back into shape, coming back from injury. He's starting to make some plays. He made a couple plays last night. So I'm not trying to just throw out excuses or anything. We have to be better tackling the football, and we have to be better in space. But one thing I will say that's been consistent so far, all three games, the effort has been there. They are still running to the football. They are still, as Sark says, populating the football with hats. And they are being physical. They are playing with good physicality. The tackling just, they have to clean it up. Yeah. Like on the road in Lubbock, you have to be better. But overall, I'm pleased. That was a big guy.
Number 9, their tight end.
Yeah. Number 9 was a big boy. You don't like the term populate the football. It does sound a little weird, doesn't it? I was like, ooh, populate. They populated the football. What did y'all say when y'all played, when you wanted the whole team to run to the ball? Did y'all have a term, Tran?
Gang tackle.
Gang tackle? Yeah.
Yep, gang tackle. Which could have another connotation as well. So I mean, it is what it is. Like, it's like gang tackle. Wrap up. Someone wrap up and someone rip.
Somebody.
Yeah, someone wrap up and rip. So let's get the ball back.
Breed that football, swarm. Everybody gang. So another person grew up saying they were taught gang tackle. Nah, Peter is when you want them to get away on punt. That's Peter. So yesterday they could have used some Peter calls in the Miami Texas A&M game with both of the way those teams were muffing punts, both of them. I'm like, where the hell were the Peter calls in that game? A lot of people saying gang tackle. So Nate said gather around the water.
What? That's just way too much to say, Nate. He's already by you by the time you yell it.
So y'all not rocking with the football? Y'all like when Sark says that? He wants them to populate the football? Oh man. Swarm. Yeah, I'm yeah, swarm to the ball. For sure. We'll go a few more minutes here. I know NFL is about to kick off. Make sure your fantasy lineups are set.
Your
I
bets
heard
at BUSR.
and hit up BUSR.
Yep.
Yep. BUSR.com/fanatic. Yep, boom.
There it is.
Yeah, no, so if you're playing fantasy or daily, whatever, Alvin Kamara's out from what I saw. If not, when you're looking to get some bets in last second, hit up BOSR.com/fanatic. Official sponsor, official sportsbook, official betting partner of Fanatic Perspective. Got that promo code there for you too if you want to take advantage. First 24 hours, 100% match on all initial deposits. Reliable 24/7 service.
Yeah, that Canelo fight. I mean, come on, it shouldn't.
There
shouldn't have been a third. Yeah, there shouldn't have been a third.
Yeah. And look, shout out to Canelo Triple G. That's the basis of which this channel started. It was my first YouTube video, believe it or not, was Canelo Triple G 1. Y'all look at Triple G's body. All right. Age gets the best of all of us. And you could just look and tell that's not the Triple G we grew up with. Okay. That's not the high volume, 100 punches per round Triple G that never takes a step back, that never fights off his back foot, that is cutting the ring off like a maniac. That man is gone. And so what we saw last night was Canelo saying thank you and giving him some bread.
Yeah, giving him a last paycheck, a retirement
paycheck. Canelo needs to get tuned up again before he goes and deals with the boogeyman Bivol. That's his real problem. If he wants to go back to that weight class, Canelo may say, you know what, bump that. I'm not a light heavyweight. I'm not going back over there. But I'm just saying. Exactly, Sal. Father time's undefeated. Thank you for the donation. Who is this? DK Longhorn fan. Thank you so much. Man, we're bouncing back, baby. I'm going to be at the next home game, which I believe is West Virginia. And I apologize for people.
It is.
Tran, I wish I was there with you yesterday, brother. It's always better to see it in person, for the energy and the feel and the pageantry of college football, the whole bit. So I'm sad that I missed it. But no, it was thank you for this donation. You guys are the lifeblood of the channel here. Thank you guys. Tran, any other final thoughts on yesterday's game as we move on to Texas Tech? Texas takes care of his business 41-20. We cover.
One thing I haven't asked you or you and I haven't texted about,
okay.
I don't know if you touched on it before I jumped on or anything like that, but were you concerned about the disappearance of Xavier Worthy in the second half? And I'm not saying it's off of Xavier Worthy's fault. I'm talking about, trying. You saw how we tried to work him into the game early on with the little quick swing passes to get him like 12 yards here and there to open up the field later on down the game. But are you a little bit worried about that because that guy is our deep threat?
Well, this kind of goes hand in hand with what we were talking about. And a great question. I think it goes hand in hand with what we're talking about in terms of what offense are we running with when Hudson Card is in there? Because the vertical shots aren't there. He's really letting him be more of this game manager type, conservative. Everything now in the past game is very lateral, a lot of bubble screens, a lot of jet motions. And then, there was some element of rollout, more so in the red area. I mean, we did have one rollout touchdown throw to Overshown. But in terms of Xavier Worthy, we did try to take some shots early which I thought were well thrown balls. We didn't connect. Um, but it seemed like after that, after the first drive, we really didn't try it again. And we have to keep him engaged. And if that's, hey, we try to throw him, take one shot with him again, when, especially if he gets some sort of man coverage with his speed. I think that's more on not as much on Worthy as it is on the staff and them having that trust with Hudson on trying to get those shots, get those shots there. Isaac has a comment for you there too, Tran. He said, I'm glad Tran brought up X. What's going on with X, man? He's not competing for the ball. Oh, so do y'all think on some of those go balls, X is not giving 100% effort? Or what?
It could be a couple things. Maybe he's so used to balls being underthrown or overthrown that mentally it's draining for you to try to come back and try to get the ball over and over again. I don't know. I mean, I thought a couple of those balls were catchable. I know the first one you were talking about that we went deep was a little bit underthrown, and it is hard to adjust to, especially when you're running full speed. And I think it was a post pattern. I don't know, and come back just to get it. But he's never going to be the most physical receiver down the field. That's going to be Jordan Whittington for us right now, or Jatavian Sanders. So for competing for balls, I'm not sure if that's what you're going at. If we're talking about throwing it up for him and him going to get it, I don't think he'll ever be that person. I think he's more so just a deep threat, get him into wide open space and him make a play type of receiver.
This is good discussion. Bones, does Bijan dance too much too early in games? There are plays where he leaves yards on the field, but as a lead.
So that's something I learned. Brandon called me out on that because I was talking to Jordan. I was trying to coach Jordan on it. He said, "No, let your players play. They will figure it out over the game." And Bijan, I don't think we need to tell him anything. He's got some of the best balance I've ever seen from a Longhorn running back, and that balance and that dance allows him to see certain holes open up that he can bust and break through.
And that's also where Tashard Choice and them can help him too, because he did leave some meat on the bone. No pun intended. The bones is thing, but
Yeah.
that's why you have. I mean, that's watching the sideline as well as like Tran, you're saying, feeling it out over the course of the football game and letting the player, really get a feel for the defense and whatnot.
He had 183 yards in less than 3/4. I mean,
he's talking about. Yeah, he's talking about the beginning.
I know, beginning of the game and everything like that. But I mean, I'm in the boat of you let your athlete figure it out. You coach him up on the sideline and let him, like you said, that's where you have the eye in the sky for it. But like, hey, you missed this hole right here. Just wait for a split second and then you can do your thing.
So Marlon and Isaac, what they're talking about here is really good because it's a nuance. If we're talking about Worthy, this is something I can agree with. It's not just about being the fastest person. It's also about controlling your speed and mixing up your speed. And this is something I was watching a lot of USC last night after the Canelo fight. And Jordan Addison and Mario Williams is actually getting here too. They do a really good job of throttling up and down with their speed, and using that as a tactic to create separation. And so these are areas of growth, right? Like our players aren't perfect. Xavier Worthy's a true sophomore, and I think this is valid. These are valid critiques to help him get more separation too, because I see exactly what y'all are saying. Sometimes he's just flat out missed, and there's times where he's just going to burn guys, and we have to hit him. But there's other times too, some of the other more nuanced routes where he can use his speed to his advantage to help create separation instead of running full speed every single route. And in some ways, it's actually easier to cover that if you're the defense versus somebody throwing you off with that stop start and coming in and out of their breaks. At different abilities to change up their speed. So I think that's a very valid point that Marlon and Isaac are bringing up here.
Before we take off and everything, I don't know if you've done this either before I jumped on, but we have to give Jordan Whittington a shout out just for his blocking abilities.
I haven't given him a shout out for blocking. No, go ahead.
His blocking, especially on the quick screens, is phenomenal. I haven't seen any defensive back break him off or break off his block to make the play. He's been so great, and he's pushing his guys 5-6 yards down the field. So I mean, that's just a stat that doesn't go in stats of what he's doing, and that's the type of player you want on your team.
We got some guys that are helping us carry this thing forward and trying to win. Jordan Whittington's another one. Mm-hmm. Jordan Whittington, I felt like he unsung heroes of last night that were like, yeah, we're not going to lose. Enough is enough. And I like to see also one other person unsung. Coburn's playing well.
Mm-hmm.
Coburn's playing well, man. And it's hard to, I think it's one of those things we'll notice more on the film.
Paycheck here, baby.
There's a lot I saw. It's third game. He's still producing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to give him some credit. I like some of this. Big Murph, Byron Murphy did some things yesterday that I liked on the interior, causing some negative yardage, causing some pile-ups. What things I want to see worked on as we conclude here.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did I see us drop Sweat into coverage on a flat route? It was like an out route. I saw him chase. I think I saw him chase.
I may have missed that. So I may have missed that if we did. Now we drop Ethan Burke, and my man, big sexy Ethan Burke. We dropped him out there a few times when he came in the game. But Sweat is playing well. Sweat. Yeah. By the way, Marlon said Sweat playing great too. Sweat is now on NFL radars, like legitimately. He got a whole profile done by some people in the NFL scouting community of his tape against Bama, because Sweat is going to be one of the NFL scouts said this in the 2023 draft. Sweat's one of the biggest players in the draft size-wise. So they're going to be paying attention to him, and they're liking what they're seeing in terms of his hands and his motor. So something to keep an eye on as well, that they like him. But there's some good things happening with the D-line. Things I want to see kind of improved moving forward. Run game, run blocking. For a young group, our pass pro is ahead of our run blocking right now, which is crazy, right? Like, at least to me, it feels crazy. Like we're legitimately ahead in our pass protection than we are in our run blocking. There's with the backs that we have and some of the things we can do, we have to get better. We're not going to be able to get to our true RPO stuff if teams are going to be able to defend us like that on third and shorts. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't, and it's going to hinder some of the things that Sark wants to do just in general play action. Some of the things that, let's say Hudson Card's in there again next week on the road against Tech before Quinn comes back. I told you, I am not in the game of speculating when Quinn Ewers is going to play. That's a tolerance thing he's dealing with. I'm glad he dressed. He's throwing. Clearly, he's going to be ready before that 4 weeks. That's a given. But I'm not also going to put this thing on him saying he needs to rush back to play for Texas Tech. If he's ready to go and his tolerance is fine of the pain and he's able to throw the football and it doesn't affect him throwing the football, then let's ride. But other than that, I'm not speculating on it. I'm happy he dressed just so that, they put the energy out there that he's going to be back soon. But with Hudson Card in them, I think Hudson does need some of those bootlegs, some of those rollouts and stuff. But when we're not running the football effectively, it makes us easier to defend. And so we have to clean that up. I gave them a pass for Bama because Bama's great against the run. But what I saw last night in the run blocking, I felt like, Tran, a lot of our big runs were generated by our runners and not necessarily the best holes being made up front. So as well as the offensive line is playing in the pass blocking, we got to pick it up in the run blocking.
Yeah, you're right. Against a team like UTSA, you shouldn't have to have the Overshown package to pick up a 4th and 1. You shouldn't. Apparently, Devin Duvernay got a kickoff return for a touchdown. Yeah. Second one.
Duvernay. That man keeps doing it. The other thing I want to see improved going into next, tackling is a given. Tackling is a given. Attention to detail on special teams. We got to be better than that. But I think we next week, considering the quarterback we're facing, which I'm pretty sure is going to be Donovan Smith of Texas Tech. Correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. We got to get some picks. There's going to be some opportunity to get some picks next week. I'm just going to say that right now. We got to get some picks. We got one yesterday off of a great play call that the coach kind of helped them get. But there's going to be some opportunities to make some plays next week.
Yeah. We also need to start off fast. This is our first true road game.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how they're going to be tested. We don't know how they're going to be able to handle it. Opening a conference play, if you shut them up real quick, that proves a lot about this team.
What are y'all thoughts on Hayden Connor? Right now, Hayden Connor is probably our best offensive lineman, net. Either him or Christian Jones. If we look at the totality, I don't think Hayden Connor has a lot of pressure as a Texas Longhorn. It's like some sort of crazy stat that he has not given up yet. Now, we have guys playing well. Kelvin Banks is progressing beautifully. Christian Jones is playing really good football. He had some great blocks yesterday that were going to the right side where the light bulb was turned on for him.
More importantly, he's not getting penalized.
That's true.
He even when people were jumping off sides, he kept his ground until they went over the neutral zone. I was very impressed with that.
Mm-hmm. Campbell, there's opportunities to work Campbell in. I think where Cole Hudson just got such a leg up this spring at that position, and he's playing that position. And then Hayden Connor, who's a natural guard to me, is now playing guard. And because Christian Jones bought this team a lot of time with growing up and just taking that right tackle spot. So we actually have the luxury of letting Campbell wait. That's actually a good thing. I think the next move you'll probably eventually see is Cole Hudson moving to center. And that's where Campbell will eventually play guard because, Jake Majors is a voice and a leader there, but he's just very, very limited at the point of attack and limited in what he can do versus what Cole Hudson would be able to do if you put Cole Hudson at center. And then you have a Connor, Hudson, DJ Campbell interior. There's part of the reason why we're struggling so much in the middle there. And again, I got to go back and do film study, but we are struggling at the point of attack there. We have some limitations there at center for the run, but Jake Majors also helps us a lot stay aligned in the pass. So who will be that brain? Who would be the quote unquote brains of the operation if we try to put more strength there? By the way, guys, this is exactly why Junior Angulau was going to be our starting center this year. This is why. because they wanted the beef in the middle there to be able to get their double teams better and clear some more room. But something to pay attention to. Everybody, I appreciate y'all jumping on this morning. Tran, thank you so much, brother. Have fun with the
Thank
kids
you.
today. Tran and his team had a huge win yesterday. You guys are what, 2-0?
Yep.
2-0?
2-0. We beat in this league, the team that won the spring championship, we beat them 24-0, and we didn't give up a first down.
Dominance. My man, John Tran Belichick over there, dialing it up, man. And he still made the boys run gas yesterday because of the fumbles. Damn, that's commitment.
They fumbled right. They fumbled right at the 1 yard line, so it should have been 30-0 at least. So, yes, we did run afterwards.
Y'all beat the number 2 team in the league. I don't give a shit. You fumbled. I'm sorry. I'm still recovering. You got me. Oh, man. No, thank you guys for jumping on. I always love talking ball with y'all. I want to try to get some more lives up, especially this week. As we're going in, conference play is here. Our non-conference is done. Isaac, thank you, brother. I always enjoy your insights, man. You know I love talking ball with y'all. But Tran Belichick, they said that boy Tran Saban, yo.
You should have seen me go like Saban. You should have seen me going off on my offensive coordinators, but Brandon. I was like, that's unbelievable. Like, when they fumbled, I was furious. When I was coaching the defense, I was like, I told my offense coordinator, I was like, coach them up on the sideline right now. Like,
oh man, no, we appreciate.
I don't want to be synonymous with Coach Meyer.
Yeah, that's not a good look. We don't claim him.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I want to get some more lives in this week as we start conference play. There's so much that's intriguing about this year in the Big 12. When we look at what Kansas is doing, yes, Kansas. What OU? Hey, OU, so far so good on their end. Probably won't, with Kansas State and the disappointment there at Kansas State already fumbling the money. OU may not be tested until they see us. Legitimately. So there's a lot to pay attention to. Here's we start Big 12 conference play, and I'm getting ready to get really, really locked into it as we begin to study Texas Tech. And we open up conference play on the road in Lubbock next week, 2:30 kickoff, which I think is a positive for Texas in that regard. So, yeah. Tran, thank you so much as always, brother. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you.
Guys, hit up busr.com. If you want to get in some also live betting, live bet the games on BUSR. Tran and I do it all the time. Tran does it on baseball games. He waits till the 7th inning and then just starts going ham.
Not anymore. I've been keeping up with that. I've been keeping up with that recently.
But no, I appreciate you guys supporting the sponsor. The sponsor supporting us. BSR.com/Fanatic. Official sportsbook, official betting partner of Fanatic Perspective. Guys, appreciate y'all so very much. Let me get my little QO out here. Remember, horns always up. Peace.